So, some games are truly just personal. When you get traded from your long-running team and your old teammate says this,
"You guarding Klay?"
I'm running through his chest.
Well, now you know it's gonna be a fight. A fight it was indeed, as Steph and Draymond came out the gates putting hands and feet on Klay Thompson with 3-pointers that came with some emotion. And maybe it's because the start of the game started off with the stove on high, as the Mavericks went right to Klay Thompson off the bat. And unlike most people would think, Curry was holding his own, giving Klay no room, but then he had some mind fog and ended up fouling him on the shot attempt. After Klay sinks some free throws, the Warriors come back the other way, setting up this action for Curry to screen here, to then come off a pin down screen for himself. And as you can see, if his defender gets hung up on the screen at all, then Curry can get right into his shot, wasting no time. Early on, you could see that the Mavs were making it a focal point to go to Klay, but on the opposite side, the Warriors were making sure to give up nothing easy. So when Klay comes off the screen, Trayce Jackson just blitzes him, making him bobble the dribble, resulting in a turnover. And then when pushing up the floor, you're going to see Najee break stride to turn and stop Curry from being able to shoot a 3, but this puts your defense in a tough spot, as now Kyrie has to split the ground between Melton and Wiggins. So here comes a smooth bounce pass from Curry for a Wiggins flush. With the building getting loud, the Mavs decide to go to their star for a settle down bucket, so that's why you see Gaffer setting a screen for Luka to come off and receive the ball. Now I want you all to look at something close, and that's how Andrew Wiggins is positioned. In basketball, you must think extremely quick when choosing what to do on the floor, such as right here, Donćić is getting this screen so he can curl over the top to receive the ball from Kyrie, but if your defender tries to cheat the play and get above the screen like we see Wiggins doing here, well now you can use that audible to face cut him towards the rim, and with no one right in his grill when he turns around to look at the basket, this bucket is just too easy for Luka. Immediately, the Warriors come back down and run a go-to set where Curry receives a screen from Green to then send the ball across court off the screen so the entry pass to a Draymond cut is easier to make. But here's where correct defensive rotations and awareness comes in handy to pick this one off. This first quarter was truly back and forth as both teams were hitting timely shots, but there's some key things that need to be highlighted that play out throughout the entire game. Right here, you're going to see Luka receive a high screen, which is totally normal. Now for the Warriors, the game plan was to get into Luka's space by going over the top of the screen and ultimately funneling him into a double to make him pass the ball, or in this case miss the shot. Take a look right here. When Luka comes off this screen, Trayce Jackson totally leaves Gaffer as they have trust in Draymond on the backside. So instead of turning and getting rid of it early, Luka decides to push all the way baseline to then end up kicking it out to Najee, but with a locked in and energized Draymond Green, he gets all the way out to block this one, manages to recover the ball before it goes out of bounds with a pass back to Melton, who then pushes the break to put 2 points on the board. Not only would they do this to Luka, but they would implement the same game plan for Kyrie Irving as well. And the thing is, when you try to lead these passes ahead for your big so he can go right to the basket, you have to be wary of this backside help defender sneaking in. And if you're not, well check your phone, because here comes the stolen package notification. This right here is something Dallas would have to adjust to, because the Warriors were basically hunting their prey every time these situations happened. This type of defensive focus uplifts your offense as well, as it makes the opposing team scramble when coming back the other way, and here you can see Irving has to rush to close out on Steph in his corner, which puts him in a terrible guarding position, allowing for a wide open drive to the basket for this scoop layup. The offense for the Warriors would continue to move in a flow state as they go back to an action we discussed earlier, but this time instead of going across the court to then hit the roller which was picked off before, they do stick to the same cross-court pass, which then makes Lively back up as he's getting ready to take away that pass to the middle. But this time, the Warriors actually have something else in store by running this handoff with Steph, and with Lively too far and drop, this one becomes a warm-up jumper for straight cash. Pretty much any hole in the defense was exposed in a quick manner as the Warriors were constantly looking for mismatches, so off this inbound, you're going to see Lively on Curry because of the Draymond screen, but this puts Dallas in a position where Kyrie is guarding Draymond. Green then proceeds to seal off Irving, opening up an entry pass for an easy bucket, so this is why you see Luka helping over in the paint. But like I said earlier, that awareness and being locked in is majorly important, as Klay needs to split his attention between 2 offensive players here, but instead he gets caught ball watching and falls victim to a back cut, leading to some free throws. Now just because the Warriors were moving in a flow state doesn't mean Dallas wasn't getting buckets of their own, as Luka evades the double team here by attacking the outside hip of Looney, and instead of making that routine pass to Gafford, which looks like it would get picked off by Hield, Luka decides to throw this all the way out to Klay on the opposite wing, who can then attack the closeout of Hield to find Gafford with the lob. The Warriors would stay consistent with the game plan of doubling Luka off these high screens, but with him understanding that he can't make these initial passes right away, Luka used the retreat dribble to get the angle to whip this pass with his left hand around Wiggins, and now Lively is getting fouled for 2 free ones at the line. When you're dealing with an elite talent like Luka, he's gonna find a way to dissect the defense no matter what's thrown at him. So with the pressure being extremely tight every possession, he decides to use that contact from Kuminga in his favor by gathering directly into a shot, and now the Mavs are going back to the line for 2 more. Pretty much whatever he wanted, Luka was getting, and by now you can see the chess match that's going on between these two teams. The Mavs themselves were hunting for mismatches as well by setting up Steph Curry to end up in bad situations. But one major difference between Dallas and Golden State is Draymond Green, who is always scanning the floor, so that's why you see him in the middle helping Curry out, taking away this pass. That right there totally stalls out the Mavs offense, making Irving have to improvise. And this right here is the major difference between Golden State and Dallas, as they have a guy like Kyrie Irving who can take anyone off the dribble to create something out of nothing. Once again, you'll see another possession where Draymond Green takes away a shot for Klay Thompson off the roll and is ready to rotate back to Lively, so this makes Klay send it out to Irving in front of the Mavs bench, and who better to call on to bail you out than the one and only Uncle Drew. Everything that happened in that first quarter would be the makeup of this game, as both teams have runs and made their presence felt, but when you come to the Bay, you have to be on your A game more than ever. When coming off these high screens, you already know that Luka is going to be blitzed and looking for this pass, so either Luka needs to make it a bounce pass to Lively right here to make it a safer pass, or Klay needs to drop down to the corner to make Moody really choose between helping or staying home. With Klay sliding up, it gives Moody the ability to recover back out if the pass was to get sent, so now he can sit right in that gap and be ready. Luka does ultimately throw this pass to Lively, which actually is pretty on point, but with a little too much heat and 2 defenders on him, this one ends up in a turnover. This double team scheme was truly eating Dallas alive, as it helped force them to turn over the ball 17 times. And right here when Luka is pushing downhill, Klay should be sliding up the floor to clear out this left side. Irving should also be sliding up as well, which would take Melton out the paint, and then boom, either 1 or 2 would be wide open. But hey, none of that happens as everyone stood and watched, and now it's another Dallas turnover. Take that play and compare it to this one, as you can easily see that 3 Mavs defenders are keyed in on Steph, but opposite of what Dallas did, Kuminga decides to cut to the basket to make himself available, and this right here is the difference. While one team was constantly moving and making defense more taxing on their opponent, the other team was more so sitting around and watching things happen, which led to horrible shots. If you watch the game, you can see that a lot of shots Kyrie made were mad difficult to convert. And if we're being honest, Luka was abusing the Warriors bench unit and any mismatches when he had them. When Draymond and Wiggins were on the floor, the offense for the Mavs was a lot more tense, as they had to deal with a smothering defender on the ball and then a free safety and Draymond Green on the backside. Plays like this where Draymond is in position to take away both passes and then rotates to block Gafford down low is what will win you games. And when you have a guard who can constantly abuse the pick and roll by making correct reads time and time again, well, here's where you get that perfect switch that you've been hunting for all game, and now you send the road team to sleep so they can think about some adjustments. This game was full of ups and downs and exciting moments, as anytime a key player returns to his old team, there's a little fire. But this time, the Warriors were the ones holding the extinguisher.